Hey guys, welcome back to Jurassic Unicast. I'm James, and today we are talking about the Giganotosaurus versus the Spinosaurus. Now, we are not going to be discussing their fighting. It's not going to be a discussion about which one will beat which. However, it will be a discussion about which one is the best Jurassic villain. So guys, the first one we're going to talk about is the Jurassic Park 3 Spinosaurus. Well, he's a pretty cool villain. It's not my favourite, and I think it's because I'm a bit of a T-Rex fanboy, I'm not going to lie. And I didn't like the way that the T-Rex got dethroned in Jurassic Park 3, more so because I feel like the Jurassic Park T-Rex gets a little bit more, is a bit more of the bitch of the Jurassic franchise. It seems to get, since as soon as The Lost World finished, since that time it seems to be getting beaten up quite a fair bit, and just kind of goes against the fossil record, and I guess that's kind of my beef with it. But I get what they did. They needed to make this new big dinosaur better than a T-Rex, and the only way they could think to do it, because it was such a big fan base for the T-Rex already, was to dethrone it and kill it. And it kind of went against it. If I'm honest, it didn't come across too popular. You got a brand new generation of fans that loved the Jurassic Park 3 Spinosaurus because of it. So that's great. That worked. But then you had the older school fans that didn't like their face of their franchise being dethroned. I think we even went as far as changing the logo, and that got changed back. So it didn't quite work. But I guess the science at the time, the Spinosaurus on fossil record was meant to be the biggest carnivore that lived.
The Spinosaurus is and was the biggest meat-eating dinosaur that ever lived.
So Jack Horner was a consultant who looked at T-Rex as being more of a scavenger, blah, 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 blah. And then we got this new, I guess this Spinosaurus is a beefed up real Spinosaurus on steroids, I guess.
We wanted something different. So we actually went after a dinosaur that literally could cause an extinction on the island.
I guess.
And the Spinosaurus.
So we did create a monster. And I think the way it was handled was pretty... I like the way it was handled. Like I said, I was just a bit bitter with the old T-Rex situation. But I'm not going to lie, at the time, when Jurassic Park 3 came out, I would have been about 15, I think. About 15. I wasn't bothered at all by the T-Rex being dethroned. It wasn't until later on, and watching the behind the scenes, I realised how much of a shambles the film was in terms of like a creative standpoint, with plot holes and being rushed and all that, and even the aesthetics of the jungle changing from the Lost World, and it's supposed to be the same island. But I've gone off on a massive tangent. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go back to the Spinosaurus being a villain. So, where was I? Villainous dinosaur. So we get its first death take place straight away when they land on the island. Cooper shoots it, clearly doesn't get it properly, and it's got the ump and goes after him. He bursts from the jungle saying, "Help, come and get me," and they take off the plane and leave him behind, and he gets chomped within the first probably half an hour of the film. So straight away the Spinosaurus means business. And I think as the propeller lifts off, you can see the blood splat on the windows of the plane. Now, I originally thought that was Cooper's blood from the chomp, but it's not. It was actually the propeller blade clips the back of the Spinosaurus. Now, if you look at the Spinosaurus from any of the maquettes, you can see the blood, the big lump of flesh that's been cut out from the Spinosaurus. So that was clearly one of the clips from the propellers that cut it, and it got peed off. So it followed the humans back into the jungle where it crashed, and then we see Nash get eaten, and from the rest of the film, the Spinosaurus is chasing these little humans around. Now that sounds really silly because I don't think a food source like a human would be enough for a Spinosaurus to warrant wasting its energy chasing small humans when there's large herbivores on the island and carnivores on the island that it can probably eat. So that side of the story was a bit silly, but it makes going through the whole film, you know that it's somewhere out there, you know it's going to appear, and we get a sidetrack story with the raptors, and then they go through the aviary section as well, and then the Spinosaurus makes another reappearance later on in the film with an epic underwater scene, which is probably some of the best animatronic work that the Spinosaurus has, because I'm not a huge fan of the Spinosaurus animatronic. I think it moves like a stiff ride, like something you find in Universal Studios in one of the Disney Universal parks, and it didn't have much fluidity when you compare it to how the original T-Rex and all the original animatronics worked to Jurassic Park and the Lost World. I think Jurassic Park 3, I think there's the way it was shot. They used the Spinosaurus again later on in the film in night time, in the rain, in the water, and that effects worked better. When it was in harsh daylight, I think it made it look a bit more robotic and fake. However, doesn't mean the performance wasn't good. Like the way the action scenes were great when it teared inside the plane, when it teared inside the boat looking for the humans, and I do think that it made a great villain. It was you know, it's done its job. It made 2 kills, Cooper and Nash. Tried killing all the others. It killed the T-Rex, and unfortunately we didn't get to see it kill anything else or have an epic showdown with the Raptors at the end, which would have been a better ending. But I think overall, in terms of villain, I think it does a good job. Now, let's have a look at the Giga. Now, the Giganotosaurus makes its debut in Jurassic World Dominion. Now, being a fan of the Giganotosaurus, I was, not as much as I am a T-Rex, but I always been a Jurassic fan and a dinosaur fan. I'd always wanted to see the Giganotosaurus or a Carcharodontosaurus appear in a Jurassic film, and I never ever thought we would get it. So when I heard the news of the Giganotosaurus, I was so happy, so pleased, and I couldn't wait to see how they designed it. Now, it wasn't the design I was expecting. There are a few changes to its skull slightly, but even exterior body. I don't think the body shape of the Giga was overly changed too much in terms of like its structure of its skeleton, but with the spines on the back of its head and neck and stuff like that, they changed quite drastically from what most paleo media sort of depictions of the Giganotosaurus are. And I'm not gonna lie, I love it. It's one of my favourite designs in the franchise by far. I think it looks menacing, it looks freaky, it looks scary. I love how it looks. It looks reptilian. Now, I know dinosaurs they're related to birds, so it should probably have some sort of form of feather or quill or something, probably, I don't know. I just love its reptilian look, the crocodile scales it's got, the toughness of its skin. It looks like it's a tough animal. Like, it looks like it could take a few bullets and it would just ricochet off of it. I love the tail, the crocodilian style tail on it. And one of the other little things, as you can see in the picture, it's got like the teeth. It's got like the rot gum disease around the teeth, which I really like that they did, and they added that to Jurassic World Dominion. I can't remember the name of that. I need to find the name of that. What it's called, that sort of disease thing that it's got. But the first time we see the Giga was in the prologue. And what does it do? It beats the T-Rex again. Now, I was a little bit like, ugh, but that's more because I'm a T-Rex fanboy. But it did seem like an absolute beast, and was really impressed. Loved the choreography of the fight scene. And then it gives us a bit of a foreshadow of, you know, what to expect from this animal. But one thing I noticed about this animal, it seemed a lot more animalistic rather than like a monster. The Spinosaurus had this monster type approach. Like it had an agenda against the humans, whereas this creature did feel just like an animal. Which for me I find better. I'm not gonna lie, I did find it better. But does it make it a better villain? I don't know. Let's continue the discussion. So we don't see the Giga for a long time. We have to wait until we get to Biosyn Sanctuary before we see it again in the actual film, after the prologue. And we get a little bit more of a foreshadow later when Alan Grant and Ellie are arriving on the island. The dude talks about they've got an apex predator in there already, and then we get a nice shot of the Morris Intrepidus approaching the Giganotosaurus while it's asleep, which I thought was a really nice touch. And it just seems quite a peaceful creature. It doesn't seem like a monster. It just seems like a peaceful creature that is just a bit of a mammoth, you know. So we then wait again for the film. See, the thing is with Jurassic World Dominion is they don't really focus on a villain. The story is so like vast and big, with multiple different things going on, and you know, you're jumping around the world, and you know, it's all about the sanctuary, facility I should call it, not sanctuary, but it's all, you've got all this other stuff going on with Malta, that the Giganotosaurus kind of just gets sort of kicked to the back, and it only appears like later on in the film, kind of out of nowhere as well. Like, we don't really expect it to, like, we know it's going to show up because that's just how movies are, but it doesn't necessarily seek out the humans. So it's a completely different sort of style, really. It's almost like it falls upon the humans and then just sort of wreaks a bit of havoc while it's there. And that whole part of the film feels like the final act, when it isn't the final act. There's still like an extra sort of half an hour, 40 minutes after the Giganotosaurus attacks the humans. Well, I say attacks the humans, he plays conga with them around the car for a little while, and then eventually they, you know, Malcolm tries to attract it with his big flare of the he stabs a locust. See, now for me, it doesn't kill anybody. The Giganotosaurus doesn't kill any humans. Why doesn't it kill any humans? Like, that would have been the perfect time to go out. Malcolm going out a hero, saving the day. And, you know, as he's doing it, the Giga gets him. Ian Malcolm is the hero, saves the day. No, doesn't happen. Fuming, mate, fuming. But that was a missed opportunity, 100% missed opportunity. But then, once the Giganotosaurus gets stabbed multiple times by Owen in the head with the knife, it soon makes a go for it and disappears. Then we we don't see it again until the end of the film, when all of the creatures are brought back into Biosyn headquarters, due to this chip thing that brings them in an emergency. And then we get the showdown with the T-Rex, where we don't see any of the battle. It's just, you know, blocks and things falling on the screen in front of you, so that annoyed me. Sounds like I'm turning into like a Dominion hay here. This wasn't the idea. But he kills the T-Rex. No, he doesn't. He knocks the T-Rex out. And then the Therizinosaurus comes in, distracts it, and the T-Rex comes back and fight. Then they have another little fight again. And I feel like it got unfairly sort of killed, really. But it doesn't come across very villainous. So, all in all, I don't think that Giga's even a villain. Spino wins. Bye-bye.